Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Potty Mouth Garden Club. Yes, I have got nothing ready here. I've just realised I haven't even got my notes ready. So, welcome to the Potty Mouth Garden Club. We have lots to do today, lots to talk about. Let us just go through straight away. Don't forget the Discord. That would be fantastic. Don't forget what else. We have those secrets behind the shed. These are, and if you watch this week coming, well, then you'll see you'll see the mess I get into. That's why I'm a little bit red. It's because of that. So, and it's because of these three fools here. And, well, actually, two of them there kind of got me in tatters. One guy's got me in tatters all the time. How are you doing, sir? Nice to have you on, Stephen.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Tony.
How are you doing? Are you good? Nice and cool for you, sir. Nice.
Oh, it's beautiful and balmy. And I think that's that weather thing up the top's wrong there. That says -1. It's actually -5, -6.
Well, I know, but that's what one of the things we were looking at, Steve. Mine, which I haven't actually got on, was saying -5, which I can understand. It's been brutal over here, absolutely, and it's freezing fog there now. So I can imagine inland, the north of England is just going to be permafrost everywhere. You know what I mean? Just kind of
it will be for a couple of weeks.
You know, Steve, I was just wondering there, what happens when it gets to that for you? Because, like you say, there's no digging, there's nothing, and it must be kind of brutal even inside your polytunnel. What do you just have to sit it out?
Pretty much. I mean, you know, the last couple of years it's been very mild over winter, and we've been very lucky. And I've harvested crops all the way through, as you know, as you've seen through the channel over the last couple of years. This year, I think a lot of it's going to be laid to waste. I haven't even been down there yesterday, so we'll have a look tomorrow and see what it's like. Some things will recover, but I don't think a lot of it will.
Mm-hmm. I know it's just like you said, we kind of have this little bit fun of trying to get as much into the window, and then it's just like it's like playing like a 5-a-side football team. You know what I mean? But then they bring on like this sub that's amazing, and it just wipes your team out. And to be honest, I'm thinking I've lost basically everything in that polytunnel this time. You know what I mean? Like we don't get minus, like say it's -5 at the moment. Yeah, we don't get that here, man. We're the coast. You know what I mean? Even Steve. Even like
some,
go on.
Yeah, I'm still messing you up, aren't I?
But what I was going to say is that even like to open up the wheelie bin today involved a hammer. Do you know what I mean? It's just like rocket. I'm like, do you know what I mean? And like you just can't even get into the. And yesterday to try and get into the car was just stupid. You know what I mean? Absolutely stupid. So anyway. But look who we've got as well. We've got Audrey. Audrey, how are you doing? You're used to this, so you know what I mean? You're kind of used to this weather, and you're laughing at us.
A little bit, because -5 to us is 23 Fahrenheit, and that's not even, I mean, it's a deep freeze, but that's not as low as we go down to 10, 9.
It must just like, Audrey, because we joked about this for quite a while there now, but you know, you and your temperatures. But when it does, especially for us there, it just seems to stop. Like you see, I can't even open a wheelie bin. So, you know, you can't do basic. I daresn't put the cold water tap on outside because that'll be split and I'll never get it back. You know what I mean? So.
Oh, we have to turn our water taps off outside.
Mm-hmm.
They have to go off. You can't use them.
Yeah.
For the entire winter. So, but we're used to this. So you were complaining about, you know, your streets weren't salted yet. Ours are salted really early because we're used to dealing with, you know, all that ice. And I feel bad for places that aren't used to it because it just kind of throws things for a loop.
Are you, Audrey, just while you're on then, do you get your back roads, like into your little cul-de-sacs and, you know, estates all gritted and salted? Because we haven't this year, and you've got like little old pensioners ice skating out there, and it's horrific for them.
Oh no, we get our roads plowed, and they will be salted. Yes.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Not in the South Tyneside, but what's it like down? What's it like down tropical balmy? You know what I mean? There's never a frost down. Not with that bunny smile, anyways. That smile radiates heat.
That is not correct. No way is it 5 degrees. I visited the plot very briefly today, and it's like this much ice on top of my water pots, and there were like blocks of ice that I like chucked out of like garden trays and stuff that had frozen. I'd tipped out, and they're all still there. Days later, all of that ice is still there. We've been pretty much in the deep freeze as well. I still had some tomatoes and some chilies in the greenhouse that I was just kind of let's see how they do. They were kind of hanging on, and today they're just dead. They are all completely gone. So yeah, it's even cold down here.
Well, that's what I want to I'm just going to leave everything in the greenhouse because I'm hoping to get a video out of it. You know what I mean? With the kind of thumbnail disaster. It's worse than I've ever thought. You know what I mean? Laid on thick. Because there was only about, was it 5 days ago? I had dwarf green beans that were flowering. You know what I mean? So kind of knocked that on the head as well. So, yes. Well, I think we will run. I forgot to do. We'll run. Should we run the intro?
Yeah, that's fine.
Right. Now, I didn't forget as well, if you want your questions, I need some content, to be honest. My little few show notes. So, in the comments, if you're kind of live today, we'll try and get as many questions answered as well. Put the capital Q and then your question, and I'll be able to see it there straight away. So, that would be fantastic. So, what have we got? I tell you what then, Stephen, I was going to ask you this, like I say, if you've got, because your friend showed a picture and it was like -13 in his car dashboard, which is just like horrifically thing. Where do you stand? What happens with your grapevine? Surely that must just get knocked, but that's like a mature grapevine because on the flip side, so it might be able, does it able to like hold its own in this kind of weather?
Yeah, it does. It'll just keep coming. There's no leaves on it at the minute, and it will survive the winter and just come back next spring. I mean, if you think about it, there are lots of vines grown right across Europe, places like Hungary and stuff. They get very cold winters, and they survive. So, should be fine.
Is it just a case of like the plant goes, once it sheds its leaves, it just goes dormant, that plant, and just kind of almost like hibernation until the spring?
Pretty much, there's no sap rising because there's no leaves or fruit to support. It's just basically a skeleton at the minute, just a skeleton of branches. So,
and you've got no like worries it'll come back. When do you kind of know it's coming back then, Steve? What time?
Probably. I mean, it depends on how warm the weather is, But if we get a warm February, I would expect to start seeing green buds bursting and maybe the odd leaf growing. But it's really weather dependent as usual with gardening. You just got to wait and see. But you'll see the buds long before you see the leaves anyway.
Right. And JB, like what you just mentioned there in your kind of, it's just no go now for kind of chilies and tomatoes and everything like that. Did you have any kind of still lasting? Because I know you had we forgot to show you had a big harvest bag of them. But did you have any kind of ones that you were thinking, I'll just see if I can push this a little bit longer?
Yeah, definitely. There were piri-piri plants, and the other one that I had in there still was called a Numex Suave Red, which is a really weird, interesting one. It's kind of like a super fruity, but it's not hot. So it's got like kind of chinense flavor, and they normally like blow your head off hot. And they still had like a good number of green pods on. So I was thinking, yeah, maybe they'll get through, but no. And it's been so cold that the chilies themselves have frozen, and they'll turn to mush if you try and use them or ripen them.
Right. I was gonna, if they weren't too damaged like frost, can you still use them? Do you know what I mean? No, can you still take them home and?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So it just depends on what your palate is for green chilies. So I personally, I don't really get on with green chilies. They're kind of okay if you use them in cooking, but they just generally speaking, for most varieties, they haven't developed the characteristic flavor of the particular variety that you're growing until they're fully ripe. Even if they're kind of like they've turned red, for example, if they go to red, if they're not fully ripe, I find that they can just taste a bit bitter still and just not super nice. So most of those ones are going to be going in the compost. There are some nice things that you can do with green chilies, like green sauces, but you kind of have to do a lot of work to them. And like I say, these ones are completely kaput. They're frozen.
Well, actually, you mentioned that, like it's all in the end. It all goes to the compost. Do you know what I mean? All your kind of disasters go to the compost, so there's nothing really wasted. And it's sometimes you kind of think, "Well, that's good. I'm pleased." Do you know what I mean? I can get it in the compost now and get it kind of.
Yeah.
Audrey, I know you're kind of just, like a different league to us, but have you done anything in the... I don't know what to ask you. Have you done anything in the garden? Is there any, like, prepping you're doing or anything? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, I had a little coughing jag there.
Has someone got cold? Has someone got a tickly throat?
I have a bit of a cold, yes.
Right, you need to suck a fisherman's friend. That'll sort you out.
Pardon?
Excuse me.
Steady. It's a tablet. Oh, look at Audrey's looking quite stunned.
God, I'm like, what?
Audrey, it's a menthol sweet. It's called a fisherman's friend, and if you suck one of them, it'll help you out, I'm telling you.
Okay. You say. Have I done anything in the garden? No. I really can't even get out there.
Right.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me, so sorry.
No, don't worry. I'll come. I tell you what. We'll go to Mr. I think JB's. JB's looking for fisherman's friends there. I'm sure he is. I can see how little kind of.
That was a shocking statement. That's okay.
Or you need to. I don't know if you've got. Obviously, you haven't got them over there, but we need to get you a pack.
Yeah, no, we don't. Yeah, I'm sure we have fishermen's friends, but they're not. Robots.
Right. I tell you what, we've got Marvellous Dave 1. Steve, this is a question for you, sir. Thinking of using super soil, can I use fertilizers and compost at the same time? Now, that's beyond me, Dave, so I'm not 100% sure. Steve, what's your take on it?
Simple answer is yes, because the super soil is not actually a fertilizer. It's a microbe that you put onto the soil, and the microbes produce the life within your soil, and eventually that will produce food for itself. So it's a self-proliferating. They'll keep breeding more, living and dying, eating each other. Other things will come along and eat it. It makes your soil healthy and therefore full of food on its own eventually. Right. So yeah, just keep using your fertilizers or your compost or however you normally do.
And I guess manures like horse manure, cow manure, anything like that. It's all
yeah.
Right, because that's why it's called super soil. Then
exactly. I mean, the long-term claim of super soil, which I have some problem with because I don't see how it works, but they reckon that eventually it will turn your soil black. Because there's that much humus in there from all the microbes it's producing in your soil, it becomes so much and it turns your soil black. But I don't know about that, and I haven't seen it yet. But then I've only just started using it. But
JB, have you got any plans to use something like super soil, or would you use something like super soil?
Yeah, I'd love to give it a go, 100%. I'd be interested to know because they make some pretty bold claims, don't they? So I'd be interested to know if they've done any slightly kind of scientific trials or any work with the universities, or, it'd be interesting to read a little bit more about the science behind it. I mean, the trials that I've seen on YouTube they look really convincing. There's only so much rigor that a YouTuber can have. I've done some stuff like that, and, there's so much that you can't control for. But yeah, I'd like to give it a go, especially in in potted plants, because all of my chilies and stuff are grown in pots. It'd be really interesting to see if it can make a substantial difference and kind of more efficiency, out of that pot, getting all the goodness out of the compost that you're putting your plants into.
Because I know you just kind of need like a little kind of spray of it, really, on, especially on like, say, a pot 12 inches big, you'd hardly need, and it's, to me though, it's always like, it feels like you're not doing anything. You know, like, and that's it. And you think, shoot, I'll give it a bit more. You know.
Yeah.
So, right. Well, on, and I hope I pronounce this right, on composting as well, growing in Scotland. I've been doing, is it bokashi? Is that how you pronounce it? Composting. Have any of you considered it? Now, I haven't. I've heard about it, but I haven't kind of done anything with it. I don't know anybody, JB, that looks like it could be up your street, that. New Age.
Yeah, New Age.
New Age stuff. You know
I've certainly never tried it, and the reason I haven't tried it is because what I've got with traditional composting seems to work fine for me. I think generally when you hear about bokashi and people kind of advertising it, it's meant to be really good if you've not got space for big compost bins and that kind of stuff. But to be honest, I'm not particularly sure of the espoused benefits, or if bokashi composting is just an alternative method of composting, or if it's meant to be better. So
is there, JB, is there what is it? Do you know what I mean? If like, do you know what it is, or is it a certain process, or?
The only thing I think of is it's like a little kind of food bin. The bokashi bins that I've seen are kind of little traditional food bins, and then they've got like a tap on to let like the liquid out. So there's lots I don't know. That's all I know about bokashi. I don't know if the liquid is meant to be a good feed. Steve's smiling. Steve knows all about this. Right. You can tell, can't you?
Right, well, I'll tell you what, we'll jump to Steve, because you've let me down big time there, JB. I was hoping you was an eco warrior for the government, you know what I mean? We might have getting kind of sorted there, but obviously not. Stephen, the kids have let us down. What? Can you explain bokashi then?
No, can you go to Audrey?
Audrey, what? Well,
I have never done it. I have never done bokashi myself, but one of the ladies who was on our allotment, she was an incredibly good gardener, and she just left a couple of years ago, and she gardens at home now due to her age. But she's got a bokashi bin, and she swears by it. And she was always a traditional composter, like myself and JB and pretty much everyone is, but she swears by it, loves it, and she's, she can get all the things in like bones and stuff like that. But how it works and how it operates, I think you actually have to put a chemical or something to start the process off, but I'm not entirely sure, to be honest.
Well, if someone likes to, in the show notes, if someone can kind of tell her how to do it, that would be fantastic as well. Nice.
Just a quick Google.
All right, yeah, go on.
So, this is going to be amazing quality content going out to people off the back of a quick Google. But it seems like it's, yeah, literally I am on Wikipedia, yeah. It seems like
it's just the way it's gone tonight, isn't it?
Yeah. It's fermentation based. So it seems like the chemical that you're thinking of, Steve, is lactobacillus. And it seems like often you can buy a bin and it's got a kind of lactobacillus starter. And then there's kind of anaerobic breakdown, and it must be producing some good stuff. But yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that it was lactobacillus based, which is, how a lot of fermented foods are made, sauerkraut, my hot sauces, that kind of thing.
My Kifa, yes. It's funny when you mentioned, I forgot the word you mentioned there, JB. Just when I used to work when I was a kid in the water board, the sewage works, we used to have like the kind of anaerobic, like the good bugs eating the bad bugs in like sewage aeration. So you'd have the sewage water coming in, you'd have it all like kind of settled to the bottom, and then it would go into these massive, huge tanks, which would spin and hydrate and get loads of like oxygen going, which would create good bugs, which would eat the bad bugs, and then it would often go into the rivers and supply as well there. So many moons ago was that. Right.
Tony O'Neill has said that there's a bit on bokashi composting in his composting masterclass book.
Hey,
if you want some actual good information,
in all good bookshops. Yeah,
yeah.
Right. Here's the thing: Audrey, we're all kind of talking about seeds and everything, and I know you're kind of buying seeds on a daily basis. They're kind of coming in. I was wondering though, because I've been to like a couple of garden centres and I'm not saying all garden centres are like this, but I noticed a couple I went to, the packets are bleached with the sun, meaning they've been there from the kind of summer and they're kind of bleached. And to me, I wouldn't buy them because they look a little bit old. Just how fresh do you think suppliers are with seeds? You know, because why I'm going down this route is parsnips, and everyone's kind of now saying, you know what I mean, you kind of need a good fresh seed each year for parsnips. But if your suppliers, you know, I just wonder how fresh are they, or you know, like new or like more seeds.
Well, I think the ones that you find on sale right now are probably last season seeds, and they're trying to,
Yeah.
get them out of there so they can get their new stuff in. I think anything that they're offering like new for 2023 is obviously going to be new seed. And I think you need to go to a reputable seed purveyor who's not going to like open up their seeds from last year and repack them in new seed packets and label them this year. So I think that's why I stick with some of the seed companies that I do, because they won't do that. And if they're going to sell me old seed, they're going to let me know that.
Steve, have you got any thoughts on that, on seeds? You know what I mean? Like you must be buying seeds constantly as well, and like I say, it's what Audrey just hit a nail on the head there, and there we go. I know that's good. There's mine for later on as well.
There we go.
But it's, you know, when you turn up to a garden centre, everyone's doing it there. But Audrey hit a good point there, which I never even thought about, was you see loads like sale seeds, you know, and I get like lots of messages saying this, that, you know, the price is cheap as out. But is it worth it then, Steve?
Well, yeah, I mean, what Audrey was saying there about finding a good seed supplier and sticking with it, which is one of the reasons I use Premier Seeds. Because if you think of it this way, Tony, when the seeds are harvested, it's generally in the autumn. Those seeds are harvested, they're then dried, and they're then sorted, and they're then bagged up, and then a wholesaler will come along and buy them off the seed suppliers. He will then sort them into how he wants to use them, and then he will sell them to the retailer, who will then distribute those seeds to where he wants to sell it. So this process takes so long. I think probably 90% of the seeds you bought in the last few years, where people are saying they're brand new, they're probably a good year or more old. So in some cases, even longer. Now, one of the seed companies I use, I know they supply other seed companies, and if they hold them in stock and if they don't sell them, then those seeds are getting older still. So again, I use a seed supplier because they only specialize in seeds, so their turnover is huge. Therefore, they've got the freshest seed. If you're buying your seed from a company that sells buckets and greenhouses and seeds and other kinds of flowers and things, they won't have quite the turnover that a proper seed merchant will have. So the proper seed merchant, you get the better seeds from, but a lot of the seeds you're buying is pretty old anyway.
Wow. JB, any thoughts on that? Or
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I generally just buy the cheapest seeds I can find. And generally speaking, it goes okay for me. I don't have an issue with germination. The issues normally come after germination. But it is interesting. Yeah. And hearing Steve kind of go through all those different steps and stages, I was kind of going, I never really thought about it. But yeah, there are a lot of steps, aren't there? And I think it really depends on the thing that you're growing, right? How important the freshness of the seed is. Like you say with parsnips, there are some seeds that last for years and years. So it's not always an issue. My chili seeds, I've been growing some recently that I stored from 2018, 2019, and they're totally fine. There's 1 or 2 out of 10 that kind of don't come through, but it's not always the end of the world if it is a little bit old, and it's hard to resist the the end of season sale at Wilkinson's when it's like 15p a packet.
You know what?
You know?
And kind of Steve's just dashed it, and this must just be blink at vision for me. But I always kind of think like seed companies have got fields. Do you know what I mean? And like they're harvesting their own seeds, but I'm finding what Steve's saying there is there's obviously middlemen as well, or middle people that, you know what I mean? So the seed companies, you know, obviously sometimes don't have the fields and the ripe seeds. They're just buying in bulk from a supplier.
Yeah. Definitely, yeah. I mean, a lot of seeds will be bought from overseas as well. So you've got that thing of somebody producing their own seeds from the field, drying them out, sorting them, selling them to a wholesaler, who will then sell them to somebody else, who then gets them on a boat or on a plane over to our country. All those different hands it's going through, they can take, you know, quite a long time. But the best seeds for parsnips are the ones you saved yourself from your own plants.
Have you done that then, old boy? Have you saved?
I have. I haven't done it for a couple of years. When I used to save seeds, I've stopped doing it completely now. I used to do quite a bit of it, but yeah, they're the best, because basically in the sort of early part of the year, you can harvest your seed and almost sow them in the same week.
So when we're talking about like fresh seeds, then right? I mean, I'll just go down to my little seed packet here. This get this on. These might not be because look what I've got. These are These are me seeds. So these are the paper ones put in paper. So I've got bold hardy beetroot there. I've got some carrots which are resistant.
Oh, seed tapes.
Yes, seed tapes. Sorry, did I not say that word? Did I not? No. These are all just kind of beetroot and carrots. Is that all I got? Right. Did I get all them? That's so I'm expecting a lot of failures. That's why I don't know if I've got all them. So
you should be fine. They should be fine. I mean, as JB was saying there, he's got chili seeds from 2018. Mm-hmm. A lot of seeds are good for a good few years, and they're quite often good for a couple of years after the use-by date. The use-by date is just the recommendation that over time people say, well, I know once I've had them for 3 years, they're no good anymore, and I chuck them. And that goes back to the retailers and wholesalers, and they'll get a rough idea of how long the seed will last for. Right. Some seeds just don't last very long, like parsnips. They're terrible.
What is it with parsnips then, Steve? Why? What is it? Just that's the way it is, or is it?
I think so. Yeah, I couldn't tell you otherwise. But you know, some years I've sown old parsnip seeds and they've been brilliant. So
interesting.
He pays your money and takes your chances, really.
Mm-hmm. Not be long for all the kind of seeds getting put out again. There, it's all comes round.
Seed tapes from Tony.
These are from what Steve mentioned, Premier Seeds Direct. So I've got a few. So I'll tell you what. I'll just I'll pop it on me there. I don't know if you can kind of. I thought they worked a treat, to be honest. I was so that's them on. Can you see? Is it getting?
Ooh. Very posh.
And it's just, you just break them like that and then unravel them, you know, and it's like...
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, and they're all, that's the thing. They're all kind of just, look at that, man. They're all spaced out perfectly.
How much more expensive are they, Tony, than a normal pack?
Oh, have a look, JB. I think it's, there might be I don't know if it's no. I think that I was gonna say $1.79 a pack, where normally 99 pence for. That's the, the thing. There's a couple of seed companies like Premier Seed Direct, and there's a couple more that kind of have got it right. That's what I was going to show you as well. Look at this. Now this was from the Discord, our Discord. Look at the price of. This is B&Q seeds there. Yeah. Mother chucker, man.
Yeah, that's scary, isn't it?
You know what I mean?
We were talking about this last episode and saying, we don't, we haven't really seen seed prices go up. And then this year, lo and behold.
I mean, that's like, is that E1? Because I've got Audrey's name in front of it. It's like $5.50. How many packets of them can you buy before you
Yeah, that adds up really quick.
Certainly,
Yeah.
because when imagine if you got all your, and I'm not dishing being cute, you know what I mean? Everyone's kind of got to make a living kind of thing, but it's just if you were to get your whole seed supplies using them prices, there's a £100, you know what I mean, kind of easy, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
Saying that, mind you, I've just bought 2 of those bloody seed boxes. You know, the seed box ones, because I left mine in the bloody polytunnel, and it's just like, it's one brittle mess now. So, and I think each one of them was like 24 bloody quid. So, money just falls out of bloody my pocket. Right. We're on again we'll stick with parsnips then, because I know parsnips now. I've had the frost. Now, I don't know if, JB, if you've got parsnips because you were grumbling about taking up too much space. And I'm not sure if Audrey's got parsnips or not. But I know Steve has. Now, Steve, I've had the frost. The frost is there, so I'm happy to kind of pick them. Would you pick all yours together and store them? Or would you just come and like pick one from the ground and use it and leave the rest in the soil?
Yeah, definitely. Just pick what you want, but I very much doubt you'll get one out the soil at the minute with this freeze.
Yes,
I'd give it a couple of weeks.
Well, it exists.
We've got rain coming from, I think, Friday, and that will start to defrost it. It's going to take probably 4 or 5 days to defrost the soil of rain, 4 or 5 days of rain, and then you'll probably find your beard to dig it up.
Well, that's what I seen your note there. I think is the rain coming till Christmas from Friday as well. So
it is here in Cumbria. Yeah, I don't know about the rest of the country.
Well, I've just ordered. I'm going to look an idiot now. I've just ordered these like you put them over your shoes, like little kind of. Someone mentioned in the comment of today's video that went out, and I think they're like a £5 or something, but they've got little studs on.
Yeah,
I've got kind of
Postman have them.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got a couple of sets in there, but.
Yeah, so it's just like I'm scooting around trying to get the dogs, and the dogs don't even realise, so they want to kind of sniff that way. So it's like, you know what I mean? So I thought money well spent there.
I thought you were going to say I've just bought a sledge or something.
Mind you, what a difference I had to get. I took my car in to get, there was a fault on it and it had to get fixed. And luckily enough, Volvo fixed that for free. But they said I couldn't drive it off the forecourt with the tyres the state they were. So I had to get some new tyres. But you know what I mean? Man, the grip. Who would have thought?
That's a novelty.
Yes. Right, let's pick a question then.
We were all doing a parsnip challenge this year.
That's a good yes. Are we still doing that? Are we going to?
We talked about that last week.
That's right.
Yeah, JB and I are jumping in the pool. So yeah, we're gonna all parsnips next year.
So are we growing? We'll have to pick one variety. Well, everybody who's kind of watching and joining in, we'll set up a little kind of, a little kind of championship. We'll get photographs. We'll get like a little section in Discord to kind of show you pictures. And are we going to
have a prize for the worst one?
I'll have to get a widescreen TV to get them in.
Are we going to stick with one variety? We might as well chat about it now. Then, do you think one? That's probably the best.
I think that's a good idea. Then everyone can compare.
We'll have to make
People can share it on Discord.
But we'll have to make sure that Audrey can get the variety we can get. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I was on Chiltern seeds. Are you familiar with that one?
Yes,
I know that one.
Very good.
They will actually be shipped to the U.S.
Right.
Right.
So I was looking at their parsnips, and they had about 12 varieties, which, over here it's like 2. So if you guys let me know what that is, I'll just add that to that order.
Right. What was that site, Audrey? Chiltern, did you say?
Chiltern Seeds.
Right.
I thought it was Chiltern.
They've got some marvellous varieties there, actually, and they've got a cracking selection of flowers there as well.
So we're not going to go with B&Q's seeds.
No.
No, right. Cost a fortune, right?
Well, why don't you who have grown parsnips name a variety?
What I can't even remember what I'm growing there now.
There's some spam there, JB. Can you get that?
I thought I got it. Is it not gone?
All right.
What was the? What's the name? A couple of parsnips, Steve, off the top of your head.
One White Gem, Gladiator, Tender and True.
Might be Gladiator, that.
Gladiators, that's one of the popular ones.
Gladiator or White.
Which sounds kind of counterintuitive, but...
Yeah.
Right, so I'll put Smoky Joe. We have, what's the best thing you've grown all this year or this year? Best thing for me, Smoky Joe, is... Well, actually, the discovery of them black strawberry were nice. This is the Audrey sent over those seeds for me, which I was kind of... I know I'm a little bit blinkered vision now with the Brad's Atomic tomatoes, but they came up with like a very close, almost like head-to-head with the Brad's Atomic, the black strawberry. Strawberries have been poor for me this year, but it was my third year with them, and I'm hoping this next year will be good. I'm trying to think of anything else that's been fantastic. Early in the year, I got Calabrese, which just I've never had like as successful as that crop. But most of them kind of came and had nice big heads, so I was happy with that as well. Stephen, anything that you've grown that you thought, yeah, get it, I've nailed that one?
Yeah, I think probably in sweet corn this year. It was just really, really good and sweet this year, which I know it's part of what it is, but I just thought this year was probably the best of the last few years, to be honest.
Any reason, Steve, why that was? Because I couldn't tell you why I had to. I think the only reason with the Calabrese was I did it at the right time, and you know what I mean? It was like the 3-point stage, seed, little seedling, plant, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think this year I kept on top of the weed a bit better because, you know, normally I have them wrapped up in that box thing that I've got, my little hot box, don't I? And normally I don't bother getting in there to weed or I forget about it. But this year I did, and I got in 2 or 3 times. And I think that helped with maturing the plants. You know, all the nutrients weren't being taken by the weeds. The plants actually got them this year. Mm-hmm. And I think that made a heck of a difference.
Audrey, is there anything that kind of stands out for you apart from like the 2,000 garlic cloves that you grew? Is there anything else that...
Yes. My celeriac was fabulous.
Right.
So I'm very excited to...
Miserably. Mine...
Celeriac. I'm thrilled. Yes.
Honestly, mine was just like terrible. I've kind of dug up... I've actually dug up about 3/4 of the bed because they were just plant. There was no like root ball, and the ones that have got like a root ball are... I wouldn't say they're a tennis ball. They're smaller than that, but there's. But I've now done as much as I can to that bed in preparation for next. Do you know what I mean? Next year, so we will see. But
there's quite a few votes in the chat here for Gladiator.
Right, I think that's what I'm growing this year. To be honest, I'm sure Gladiator for the parsnip. So
yeah. Just so you know.
Yeah, that's no problem.
That's been voted by a few people, so.
The Gladiator it is then.
I'm Spartacus.
Yes. the old boy there, he's straight on the back.
I'm Spartacus.
While we're talking about things like that, I want to just mention while we're all kind of in that we are doing a Boxing Day special, which will just be exactly the same as what we're doing now, but it's 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm not allowed to do it on the night time. I've got orders and I've got jobs. It's got to be 11 o'clock in the morning. So I know Steve's coming and JB's coming. Now, Audrey, you are it's 6 a.m. in the morning for you.
Yes, it is.
Well, that's not a...
I love you all, but I'm not coming.
Now, I think I've asked Soph, and Soph's on, doing the family run and everything like that. So I think it's going to be the 3 of us. Now, Steve did ask for a bit of artwork to publicise this Boxing Day special. There we go.
Oh, flip it.
So I'm just going to leave that up a little bit longer than normal. Yes.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Stephen, you never send me photographs. Do you not know? I just keep them. I know you do.
So,
yes.
Hell.
Boxing Day at 11 a.m. on kind of this site there now. Have you noticed, like, JB's holding a little robin, a little new age?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve, is that a toilet plunger on your head?
It's a plunger for unblocking your sink. Yeah. I was doing my Dalek impression.
You see earrings.
It's the earrings the used two old boys have got there. That's the kind of, yes. So
Absolutely fantastic.
Boxing Day special. I will send that picture to you if you just want to put it on your social media.
You see what Tara has written there? She says, "Steve, nice baubles."
I love the way it's JB's face is just so natural, like peace, love, and calm. Yeah, so Boxing Day, we are there, Boxing Day. But it's 11 a.m. in the morning, but it'll be we'll still be, there if you can't make it. It'll be up as a normal program, right? Well, we've done parsnip storage, Ori, what seeds?
You'll all have to come in and wish us all a happy Christmas, and we can return the favour.
Yes, that would be lovely. I'm trying to think. I'm just looking there. I've wrote something about Audrey. Audrey, what seeds out of all? Oh, that's right. Oh, it's my grammar, to be honest. Audrey, what seeds out of all do you like the best? So you've been getting, I know you're buying loads of seeds.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a certain variety that maybe we could look at and think, all right, I'll try that on the spot?
Gosh, that's
yeah.
a hard question.
I really did enjoy the orange accordion tomato last year, so I'm going to grow more of those this year. I only grew one plant. I'm going to grow more of those. The one plant I loved was it was a Korean drying pepper, and the variety was amazing too. I have a quart of gochujara flakes from it because I had so many peppers. That was a fabulous one. I'm trying to think of any new variety.
I missed the actual name. I was reading the questions, Audrey, so I wasn't listening to you, if I'm honest. So what?
Tony, listen to your elders.
I'm spinning plates here, man. I'm trying to work the magic behind the scenes. What was that? What was the chili? The pepper?
It's a Korean drying pepper.
Right.
It's called Amazing too. And once you grow those, you will always grow those.
Oh, right. JB, have you heard of them, JB? Have you?
He's just looking them up now on Google.
No, so
I heard him typing.
I've
been looking. Yes, please, because there's like a bit of mystique around the Korean chili pepper, right? So there's products you can buy like gochujang and gochugaru that are from a kind of Korean chili pepper, and I cannot find them anywhere in Europe. And I know a few people who are doing different things, growing different kinds of Korean peppers. And if you've ever kind of bought Korean food or gochujang especially, there's something that comes through that tastes like it's from the Korean pepper itself. So I'm desperate to get my hands on some, and obviously never tried them.
They're so deep in flavor, it's crazy. The nuance you get from these, and you'll never use like regular chili pepper. I mean, that's my go-to chili pepper now because it's so tasty.
I'm very interested.
I feel I need to kind of broaden my horizons with the chili because I'm kind of just sticking with that kind of I forget what it's called now. Someone help us. What's my chili called? That Hungarian hot wax.
Hot wax.
And I'm just kind of muddling through there. And actually, I was thinking of just cheating and going and getting like 4 grafted ones from B&Q, but that price thing there is so upset us. Do you know what I mean? I'm thinking I'm not even going to sod them, to be honest. So, JB, Audrey, if you could like help and guide me with some flavors, because in a way, I'm going to grow my stuff now in the house. So you've got to get your finger out almost soon. Is it, JB? I'm going to start thinking about.
I would say February for chili seeds is a really good time to start
Right,
thinking about
right.
it. It all depends. You don't have if you haven't got heat and light indoors, then you can still get a decent crop if you sow much later on in the year, kind of March, April, and just rely on doing it naturally. Outdoors, natural light, that kind of thing. Maybe a greenhouse or somewhere sheltered. But you will get much better results if you can do it under heat and light. And I would, if you're starting them now, I know some people are starting them now. I would say that's a little bit early. And the danger is that, by March, your plants are getting bigger and bigger and you're running out of space. They're not getting enough light and you really need to get them out, but there's still frosts. And that's the danger that you run if you go too early. It won't do the plants any harm other than you won't have enough space. They might not be getting enough light and what they need. So I start my earliest peppers 1st of Jan. Hopefully this year, and then I've kind of follow them up throughout February.
Well, you'll have to keep her kind of informed when to kind of sow. But was it Mark? Was Mark one who was like feeding, like heavily feeding his peppers, and he was having peppers early on? Glenn, sorry about that. It was Glenn who was kind of heavily feeding, which he was saying was almost like a kind of protective against the cold, but I don't know if that is the case or not. But
yeah, he had all sorts of theories, didn't he, about the different kind of stuff that he was feeding, and that was his background was in kind of agronomy, so he really knew about kind of chemical fertilizers. And
I know on Glenn's Instagram, he's got his chilies away there now, and I think they're about
yeah,
you know what I mean, like say 12 of them, just kind of.
They're going in his grow tent, I think, aren't they? Over Christmas and that. So.
Right, let's have a look. Amanda is asking you, Steve. Steve, you're wearing a t-shirt. What temperature's in your house?
I was wondering this as well.
What's
if you look, there's a radiator right behind me. I don't know if you could see that. Oh no, Tony zoomed me in again, so you can't see it. Put me on full again, Tony, and people could see it. I've got a radiator right behind me anyway. There you go.
The mystique's gone now. You were in like a little kind of like
stone cabin,
country cottage. Yes, now just, hey,
give over.
Right, let's have a look. Any more questions? What time we got there? Oh God, it's flying over, man. Garden in the Woods is asking, which bean variety would you recommend to me who has never eaten beans? Now, I'm going to go straight to Audrey on this because, Audrey, you recommended a dwarf bean to me, which I thought was fantastic. It was a great little cropper.
Yes.
Dwarf, and it was easy.
Kalima. The variety is Kalima.
Kalima, right.
Yes.
Are you, Audrey, are you sending any of them over? I asked first. Behave yourselves now. I'm joking, but it would be nice if they did fall into the post.
Okay, I am nothing if not accommodating.
So Kalima, right? Steve, is there any kind of bean? Because you're a bean specialist as well. Is there anything you would recommend?
Well, a couple of types really. If somebody's never eaten beans before, I would probably go for a French bean because they're so nice and tender, and go with something like Blue Lake. They're quite a good variety, or Cobra. Two very common varieties. If you wanted to try a broad bean, I would go for a dwarf broad bean and go for something like the Sutton, brilliant little cropper. And then your world's your oyster if you want to go for runner beans. I don't grow runner beans anymore. Because my partner, Anne, she doesn't really like them, so don't bother with them anymore.
JB, are you a bean feast or?
No, this is a question that I could have written, and as you guys have been answering, I've been furiously typing away because I really want to try beans this year for the first time.
Also,
it's one of those things,
right? You've never
grown them,
right?
Like peas last year, first time I'd ever grown peas.
Wow!
And it's exactly the same thing with beans. They're just something I've never been excited about in my life, because I've only ever had frozen peas. And the first time I had a pea off the plant, I was like, oh wow, I
Mind
get it
blown.
now. I get why people are actually bothering to grow this, because that is one that tastes nothing like off the supermarket shelves, and beans are the same apparently.
So, JB,
Yes.
I'm just going to ask: have you had beans before, though? You've actually had them or not?
Only like in stuff, like in a chili or something like that.
Right.
we're not we don't have loads of pulses or beans or anything like in the cupboard that are dried.
It's
so yeah,
just for me. It's like the green beans. It's like the steamed. You know what I mean? With like a bit of salt and pepper and butter on the plate. Oh, mother chucker, man! You can't. I don't think you can go past them. Do you know what I mean? There's a whole JB. There's a whole world out there you haven't discovered yet.
We do like a green bean. Yeah, sorry, I was thinking about broad beans. Broad beans we don't use very often, but green beans on the side are quite nice.
Yes, right.
Well, if we are talking about a dry bean, I have one called Christmas Lima that will change your life.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, right.
That's a promise, isn't it?
Yes, it is so. They're huge, and they're meaty, and they're tender, and they're very prolific. So one plant will give you a whole lot of.
JB, can we? I know he's looking. Can we get them over here, JB? Because I
don't know. Sorry, I was looking at the chat.
Right.
We were looking at Christmas Lima.
Well, and this is helpful for me, Tony, because I've asked you in the past, what would you like? And you just go, just send whatever you want. Now, this helps me. This gives me a little more information. So I don't send you furry, bean plants that you're not interested in.
It's funny that we've just had this talk today, me and my wife, about like what we're going to grow for next year for like, and Melanie actually said, you don't have to bother with beans, Tony. I'm not that. I'm like, Melanie, doesn't matter about you this time. I'm growing, you know what I mean? I'm growing for me. Do you know what I mean? It's just, and I remember about 4 years ago, maybe, I think it's one of my videos, but I had about 6 or 8 trellises of beans, and you know how much you can get off a trellis. That's probably why I've sickened that. You know what I mean? Because we had beans. Do you know what I mean? This, like, the crops you get off them is, I think, even for like a new gardener, is like one of the best vegetables to grow. Do you know what I mean? Because you just, once you get it right, they're just prolific. Like you say, and it's so easy, so easy to pick them. You know what I mean? I can't actually be bothered with peas because it's just a right faff. The kids love them. Do you know what I mean? When I was little, like coming up to that was the reason. But
well, go grow snap peas or snow peas.
Yeah, I use snow peas marsh too. Is that what you're? Never heard of it.
I don't know. Does that mean there's little peas?
Like
and
flat?
It's a tender pot? Yes. And it's a tender pot. Too. Mush too. You don't have to.
Oh no! Yes. I like that. That's
have you ever had snap peas? Snap peas are delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah. You eat the whole pod again, but they're just a bit more full.
Yeah, and I don't know.
They're gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is, you don't have to pod them, which to me is a plus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Let's have a look. Peas. Right, Steve, this will be right up your street there. I'll just pop you on. Rob's garden project is... I'm just about to put up a polytunnel. When best time to put up over the covering? The polytunnel is 25 by 16. Lovely size. Is it too cold to do it yet? Well,
definitely.
Never mind like this kind of Arctic cold we're getting. I would say it's... Well, I don't know. I'm sure Direct Plants, Direct Plants where I got mine from said over 12 degrees. So think of it like that for, you know what I mean? Because if it's
the thing is, when you're putting the cover over it, you've got to stretch it to get it drum tight. If it's not tight when the cover's on, then the cover will flap about in the wind and bang against the frame or any other surfaces that are exposed. And that's what degrades a cover over time. So better to wait for warmer weather. Don't even put your anti-hotspot tape on. You can put your frame up, and I'm hoping to get started on mine before Christmas. but I'd be waiting for a couple of warm days so that I could stretch the polyzone plastic before fixing it. But you need to be able to stretch it, and it needs to warmish weather.
And we haven't certainly got that at the moment.
No, definitely not. No.
Now, JB, I just watched your video last night. I actually went to bed with you last night, JB. It was very nice. Oh, I tell you, I was tucked up in the sheets with you, and I just had some light clothing on when I was watching you with all that beard on the video there. That just got me all so excited there. But we're talking about where am I going? We're talking about greenhouses there. Now, this was the last time I kind of I've had this picture, JB, for a while there now. But if no one's seen the last video, which I do recommend you going to watch it. What have you done now then, JB, and how's it good? Because this is the greenhouse that's kind of been lying around for bloody ages, and I'm quite surprised that you got up and you started tackling it, and done wonders since then as well, since that.
Yeah. So when did I first pick? I think I picked that up kind of summertime. I saw it going for like 50 quid or something like that for the frame, and it's got about half the glass. So I thought, that's decent. I'm still going to have to pay a bit for the glass. But like you say, it was just lying around the plot for so long. And it's been so good to start work on it again because, with everything that was going on, I had a break for a little while and I just totally lost momentum. It all just went a bit wrong, and I'd spent so long kind of in the dark. Every day after work, I was going up for 2 hours and preparing that ground in the middle, because that earth in the middle was just stones. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. And that has all been dug over now, which is wonderful. And the next stage is kind of prepping the base. And that is what is in the latest video. I've kind of got some nice softwood timber sleepers that are going to be a really solid base to kind of anchor that thing down, make sure it's not going anywhere. And I got it all cut, and it all went so well. It couldn't have gone better.
There was when I was watching it, that's the difference from me to you there. Yours just seemed to kind of we would have had the same problems to overcome, but you kind of just handle yours where it just was lovely. Where if it was me, you know what I mean? I would have been drilling screws with mother. You know what I mean? It would have been. Did you actually erect and the actual? Did that go to plan, or was the bits like, what's this?
Oh, the actual greenhouse.
Yes. Did that go?
That was a dream. Yeah, I was expecting it to be awful because generally my experience with greenhouses has not been good. Putting that first one up, everything went wrong. But the good thing is I did actually learn from that experience. And, you just get a better sense of where every bit goes. When you've got a pile of just lines of aluminium, I know how to read them now. I know, that bit goes there, that bit goes there. That's like a cross bracer. It went up really quickly, really easily. I did have Jess to give me a hand, which was brilliant. And it was horrible weather, but we managed to get it up quite quick in a couple of hours in the rain.
So, oops! I pressed the wrong picture there. Hey! No, that was a genuine mistake there. Where's me bloody? There it is.
It was.
So you've got the sleepers, which the last video on the bottom, and am I right in thinking then you're going to put underneath them sleepers more bricks to raise it?
Yeah. So the base isn't quite done yet because of the weather and everything. Right. I wanted to get the sleepers kind of prepared and treated. Just because we had a little bit of dry before we had all these frosts, and now everything is just wet all the time. So they've had their treatment. But I still need to work on the actual kind of the foundation around the edge. Basically, what I've done is dug a kind of trench, filled that with a base layer of stones, which I've done that in like half. So I'm going to get the stones all flat and level, and then a layer of kind of paving bricks that I can't concrete in or anything. Our allotment is really strict about, concrete or postcrete. Absolutely not allowed anything like that. So the bricks are going to kind of be that level, make sure the sleepers aren't in contact with the ground. And the stones are then kind of for drainage underneath. In theory, this will all work nicely. So what I need to do now is start digging around the edge again, which is not going to happen when the ground is this frozen.
So
laying the stones, bricks on top,
If
then
I'm right in thinking, then JB, the sleepers are going to keep anchoring it down by the weight because they are nice sleepers. Them, you know?
Yeah.
Right. That's what.
Yeah, hopefully, I might as well. I do have some kind of, I think, angle iron, like a kind of right angle of metal with a point on the bottom that I found on the allotment. So I'm going to drive a couple of those in and just bolt those to the sleepers as well, just to make sure, because this is going to be a little bit higher. We do get quite a lot of wind come through. So, I just want to make sure it doesn't blow away.
This is for Audrey. This is for the tomatoes. This is what I heard when I was going to this. Is like more tomatoes.
Well, what I enjoyed the most about the video.
Oh, you curled up as well with the Blitzy. What's that? What, JB? I thought you were mine.
Don't know where this is going.
You're blushing now, Audrey.
As I was saying, I thought the best part of the video was how happy JB was. The completion of the sleepers and how beautifully they met. I mean,
yes,
those babies were.
I think that's a private education. That's what gets you the kind of mathematics. You know what I mean?
Private education.
Tony.
I was a comprehensive school. That's why my measurements are always kind of out a little bit. You know what I mean?
I did not receive a private education.
Did you measure twice and cut once?
What I do is I measure 10 times, and then I kind of offer it up and go.
And Tony kind of holds it there, going, "Yeah, that's going to work.
That's going to work. That'll do it." There's never even a tape measure. There's never even a tape measure. It's just like that size, Dave. I'll just do that there. So, listen, we have come to the end of the show. It is now our tips of the week. Look at JB's frantically going on Wikipedia now. There, garden tips for December.
No, I'm posting my own video in the chat. No shame.
Stephen, can we have some sensible normality here, sir? Can we give a tip of the week, please?
Yeah, in about a week's time, most of the soil in the UK will start defrosting a bit. The temptation is over winter is to dig your soil. Well, just hang back another week after the frost have finished. Just give that soil underneath time to defrost fully before you start trying to dig it back into the ground. You don't really want to be digging cold soil into what's underneath. So just give it time to thaw out before you start digging.
Thank you very much. Wow, that's something I never even thought of there.
Audrey, are you telling me in the UK you only have like a week or two of this weather?
Probably.
I'm asking very seriously right now.
Probably, it's very possible. I mean, next week it's going to be sort of a lot warmer. Yeah, we're going to be rain up until Christmas, and we can quite easily get sunshine in January and warm days. So we don't have this weather all the way through. It's patchy. There might be another cold spell in January, then one in February. But it's winter now, and winter does what it wants. It's either cold, warm, rainy, windy, stormy. There's never one weather all the way through our winter.
Wow.
Oh, Audrey, can we have your tip of the week, please?
If you live in Detroit, don't even bother flipping dirt until perhaps mid-March. No, that would not be my tip today. What would my tip be? Oh, if you have containers outside, and I'm saying this to myself right now because mine are not covered, cover them up. Just a piece of wood, a piece of landscape fabric, something that does not just have rain go through it. Like kind of protect your soil, even in your containers, by putting something on them.
I never even thought about that, Audrey, to be honest. That's quite,
I do it every year, but I'm looking at them right now, right out my window, and there's no covers in sight. So those need to get on this week.
And let's just, what do we got there? Got 3. So what are you dropping down to at night time, did you say? Temperature-wise?
Oh, we're going well below freezing.
Uh-huh.
So we've got our lowest so far has been for you -19. That's not our normal, but that's been our lowest so far.
That's just
But we'll be below. We're well below zero every night for us, and below zero for you is way lower. I mean Celsius, obviously. So yeah, we need to get those on so the water is not just rushing through there.
JB, the final tip of the week, please.
Well, I'd say do what I've been doing today, which is going through all your seeds. This is like the perfect time of year to get all your seeds out, and as well to make sure that they're not, because all mine have been stored in the greenhouse. Really good idea to just make sure your seeds aren't exposed to all of these very cold temperatures at the moment, because I think it can harm their kind of longevity. So it's just a really good time of year to get all your seeds out. Go through, get rid of all the super old packets, or at least set them to one side. You can still kind of sow them. That's my plan. And I know we were talking earlier, me and Steve, and he said he does the same. The ones that kind of, they're 3 years old now, they're kind of out of date. It's still worth sowing them, but if it's a crop you really want to be sure of growing, then it's time to kind of get in and order the replacement. And yeah, I've made so much space by doing that in my seed box today. So yeah, good time of year.
It's a good feeling as well. You know what I mean? To clear out all.
Yeah.
You know, have a good. I think this year as well, I'm going to kind of go through mine ruthlessly. Do you know what I mean? And bring in a whole load of kind of fresh stuff as well. You know, so hopefully, anyways, we'll see how that goes. Stephen, JB, Audrey, thank you so much for coming on again. That would be lovely. That would be fantastic.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for the giggle again. We've had quite a giggly night, haven't we?
It's a good one.
Don't forget this on Boxing Day special. It's I'm trying to say it in a nice way. The glitterati of the gardening fraternity will be on hand.
Oh, God. Why is somebody else coming on?
To get so out. So, everyone, look after yourselves. Take good care. Thank you so much
Cheers, everyone.
for coming to watch. Take care.